Like most modern day pickups, Nissan offers an off-road trim spec. The second gen Frontiers offer the Nismo trim, or later called the Pro 4X. And although the 6-speed manual transmissions were available for the short extended cabs, a long wheelbase crew cab 6-speed is considered to be a unicorn. For the last 4 months, when I haven't been at work, asleep, or being a dad, I've been in my garage building just that, marrying a fully loaded SC model with some Nismo diffs and a 6-speed manual transmission. This could end up being one of the more uniquely cool Frontiers out there. But if I don't figure out some serious hurdles, it could just be a total bust. Today, I make some big leaps forward, checking off a couple daunting boxes in order to make this truck run as a manual. It hasn't exactly been smooth sailing to this point, but hey, if you want some fruit, you gotta climb that tree. In the last episode, I got the engine and manual transmission sitting in the engine bay of our new manual-to-be long bed crew cab truck, which is no doubt a legit milestone in this project. But there is a ton of work to do now. We're essentially marrying two systems together, one from 2005 and one from 2009. Now I gotta go through all my parts from each truck and see what makes the most sense to fit together moving forward. You might think it's better off just using the newer stuff, but that's not necessarily the case. Nonetheless, I'm excited to finally get started piecing this truck together, one part at a time.
Because it moves back and forth, that's the whole idea.
First off, I'll need to get this transmission support installed, as the transmission is currently being held up by a floor jack. I realize this is a rare opportunity with full access to the lower bit of the transmission, so I'm taking a minute to clean off some grime that baked on over the years. And oh yeah, I gotta deal with this broken bolt. But one thing at a time. Before throwing in small frame parts, I like to take the opportunity given to douse them in some of my favorite product, fluid film. This stuff is awesome for rust prevention, and I like to soak my bolts overnight in some penetrating oil. This thing's a pain in the ass to install, but like my old charge hand says, a little bit of grease goes a long way. It's a tight squeeze in here, but lucky for me, I got a mini apprentice to put to work.
Oh, this is a tight space. I go under there with that wheelie thing.
Back a few episodes ago, I pulled out this brake booster in order to make some room for installing the clutch pedal and master cylinder. And I'm glad I did, because I need to modify this unit a bit before reinstalling it. Specifically the fluid reservoir up top. This one's actually not compatible with the manual setup. That's because Nissan's designed the brake system and clutch system to both share the same fluid reservoir. So I'll need this one out of Fiona. These two reservoirs might look the same, but they're actually different. The one for the manual has an extra port for the clutch master cylinder. I love this little locking, pivoting ratchet from Harbor Freight. It's pretty awesome. Kind of wish they had Harbor Freight in Canada. But if they did, I'd probably be there every weekend. So maybe it's a good thing. Now I can install the hydraulic control assembly. I also had removed this out of the way to make room for installing the clutch pedal. Go watch episode 6 if you'd like to see that. Alright, now I can tie in the clutch master cylinder to the newly installed reservoir. I just wanted to make sure that there's no binding or anything of concern going on in the cab. Looks good, and I think we're done for now. Alright, now it's time to throw in some front end parts back into place. Like this front diff, I just lowered it temporarily to make installing the engine and transmission a little bit easier. Now, which drive shaft do I use? To be honest, they both look kind of terrible. I know, it's kind of corny, but a quick wire wheel and a little Rust-Oleum takes the edge off just a little. Okay, enough putting this off. Let's get into this bolt removal business.
Nice.
So there are multiple ways you can skin a cat in regards to bolt extraction. You can use bolt extracting sockets, which are designed to grip a rounded head. Let's say the head is rounded off and it's no longer making that hex shape. You can use those sockets and it'll grip it and twist it off that way. If the bolt head itself is snapped off, like the case here, you can thread on a nut and weld it and use the nut as your bolt head and twist it out that way. That's another good option. In this case though, we kind of have a lot of aluminum in there, like the transmission is kind of like an aluminum cast, and so trying to get a proper ground is gonna be tricky because the only thing you're really gonna be grounding to is the actual broken bolt itself, because that's what's steel. So I'm not gonna go that route today. Today I'm gonna use some bolt extraction bits, which go into a hole that needs to be drilled. And so we actually got a series of holes to drill. So we're gonna go that method today. Let's get into it.
Okay, we start things off by drilling a small pilot hole and a slightly bigger hole and another hole and another hole. And then finally, just about using the appropriate sized extractor and twist the broken bit out. Notice how I'm not using those fancy gear wrench ones from the photo. I just have a cheap Princess Auto set, but they'll work just fine. Speaking of cheap though, let's talk about what's not cheap. These lines from Nissan. Unfortunately, you're not gonna find this kind of stuff, these specialty parts per se, off of Bob's website. You're just gonna have to bite the bullet and buy OEM. But for stuff like this and electronics, it's well worth it. I just gotta figure out how this stuff all fits. Luckily, Nissan has some Hardline holding tabs that appear to be factory, and there's a nice little spot up here for the clutch line. I think I'll use it. Okay, now for the lower line. As you can see from the state of these lines, there's a reason I'm buying new ones, but I'm gonna steal this damper off Fiona. I think it's still fine. but the damper doesn't fit on the new truck's bracket. So I stole that from Fiona as well. I'd love to be able to sandblast and powder coat everything, but it's not an option right now. This is a cheapo but effective alternative for little parts. The lower line sits really close to the frame, so I'm protecting it from any vibration with this wrap. And my slave cylinder just showed up. Perfect timing. And lastly, just this spaceman looking line. The system's looking pretty good. I just gotta fill it up with some fluid and bleed it. The brake pedals on automatics are pretty massive, so I'm chopping it down to add some room for the clutch pedal. I typically like to drill and tap hardware in place, but the metal is so thin where I'll need to secure the new shifter and seal boot. So I bought this threaded insert tool off Amazon to hopefully be the solution. The little midget handles really provide no leverage for the amount of force needed for these M6 inserts, so I'm using a ratchet strap. Aside from that though, it's a great little tool and it's come in really handy. And I'm just using a little silicone here to fill in the old holes. I'm trying to keep as much water as I can outside of the cab, obviously. And lastly, a little clear coat to protect some of the bare metal. I am pretty stoked with the progress we made in today's episode. And although this project has been a bit of a challenge, ultimately just having fun working in the garage, really. In the next episode, we'll be figuring out the electrical stuff, installing the remaining front end parts, but until then, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.